3. Egolessness. We have been speaking of Buddha nature as though it were something that could be described, as though it were similar to the soul of other teachings, but it is not. 第3節、囚われを離れて。このように人には仏性があるというと、それは他の教えでいう我と同じであると思うかもしれないが、それは誤りである。The concept of an ego personality is something that has been imagined by a discriminating mind which first grasped it and then became attached to it, but which must abandon it. On the contrary, Buddha nature is something indescribable that must first be discovered. In one sense, it resembles an ego personality, but it is not the ego in the sense of I am or mine. To believe in the existence of an ego is an erroneous belief that supposes the existence of non-existence. To deny Buddha nature is wrong, for it supposes that existence is non-existence. 我の考えは執着心によって考えられるけれども、悟った人にとっては、我は否定されなければならない執着であり、仏性は開き合わされなければならない宝である。仏性は我に似ているけれども、我ありとか我がものとかいう場合の我ではない。我があると考えるのは、ないものをあると考える逆さまの見方であり、仏性を認めないこともあるものをないと考える逆さまの見方である。This can be explained in a parable. A mother took her sick child to a doctor. The doctor gave the child medicine and instructed the mother not to nurse the child until the medicine was digested. The mother anointed her breast with something bitter so that the child would keep away from her of his own volition. After the medicine had time enough to be digested, the mother cleansed her breast and let the child suck her. The mother took this method of saving her child out of kindness because she loved the child. 例えば幼子が病にかかって医者にかかるとすると、医者は薬を与えて、この薬のこなれるまでは乳を与えてはならないと言いつける。母は乳房に苦いものを塗り、子に乳を嫌がらせる。後に薬のこなれた時に乳房を洗って子の口に含ませる。母のこの振る舞いは我が子を愛おしむ優しい心から来るものである。Like the mother in the parable, Buddha, in order to remove misunderstanding and to break up attachments to an ego personality, denies the existence of an ego. And when the misunderstanding and attachments are done away with, then he explains the reality of the true mind, that is the Buddha nature. Attachment to an ego personality leads people into delusions, But faith in their Buddha nature leads them to enlightenment. ちょうどこのように世の中の誤った考えを取り去り、我の執着を取り去るために、我はないと説いたが、その誤った見方を取り去ったので、改めて仏性があると説いたのである。我は迷いに導くものであり、仏性は悟りに至らせるものである。It is like the woman in a story to whom a chest was bequeathed. Not knowing that the chest contained gold, she continued to live in poverty until another person opened it and showed her the gold. Buddha opens the minds of people and shows them the purity of their Buddha nature. 家に小金の箱を持ちながら、それを知らないために貧しい生活をする人を憐れんで、その小金の箱を掘り出して与えるように、仏は人々の仏性を開いて彼らに見せる。If everyone has his Buddha nature, why is there so much suffering from people cheating one another or killing one another? And why are there so many distinctions of rank and wealth, rich and poor? There is a story of a wrestler who used to wear an ornament on his forehead of a precious stone. One time when he was wrestling, the stone was crushed into the flesh of his forehead. He thought he had lost the gem and went to a surgeon to have the wound dressed. When the surgeon came to dress the wound, he found the gem embedded in the flesh and covered over with blood and dirt. He held up a mirror and showed the stone to the wrestler. それなら人々は皆この仏性を備えているのに、どうして貴賤貧富という差別があり、殺したり欺かれたりするようないとわしいことが起こるのであろうか。例えば宮廷に仕える一力士が眉間に小さな金剛の珠玉を飾ったまま相撲を取り、その額を打ち、玉が肌の中に隠れて出来物を生じた。力士は玉をなくしたと思い、ただその出来物を直すために医師に頼む。医師は一目見てその出来物が肌の中に隠れた玉のせいであると知り、それを取り出して力士に見せた。Buddha nature is like the precious stone of this story. It becomes covered over by the dirt and dust of other interests, and people think that they have lost it. But a good teacher recovers it again for them. Buddha nature exists in everyone, no matter how deeply it may be covered over by greed, anger, and foolishness, or buried by his own deeds and retribution. Buddha nature cannot be lost or destroyed, and when all defilements are removed, sooner or later it will reappear. 人々の仏性も煩悩の塵の中に隠れ、見失われているが、良き死によって再び見出されるものである。このように仏性はあっても、貪りと怒りと愚かさのために覆われ、業と報いとに縛られて、それぞれ迷いの境遇を受けるのである。しかし仏性は実際には失われても破壊されてもおらず、迷いを取り除けば再び見出されるものである。 Like the wrestler in the story who was shown the gem buried in his flesh and blood by means of a mirror. So people are shown their Buddha nature buried beneath their worldly desires and passions by means of the light of Buddha. 例えの中の力士が石によって取り出されたその玉を見たように、人々も仏の光によって仏性を見ることであろう。Buddha nature is always pure and tranquil, no matter how varied the conditions and surroundings of people may be. Just as milk is always white, regardless of the color of the cow's hide, either red, white, or black, so it does not matter how differently their deeds may condition people's life or what different effects may follow their acts and thoughts. 赤、白、黒と様々に毛色の違った目牛でも乳を絞ると皆同じ白い色の乳を得るように、いかに境遇が異なり生活が異なっていても人々は皆同じ仏性を備えている。There is a fable told in India of a mysterious medical herb that was hidden under the tall grasses of the Himalayas. For a long time, men sought for it in vain, but at last a wise man located it by its sweetness. As long as the wise man lived, he collected this medical herb in a tub. But after his death, the sweet elixir remained hidden in some far-off spring in the mountains, and the water in the tub turned sour and harmful and of a different taste. 例えば、ヒマラヤ山に尊い薬があるが、それは深い草むらの下にあって、人々はこれを見つけることができない。昔一人の賢人がいて、その香りを訪ねてありかを知り、問いを作ってその中に薬を集めた。しかしその人の死後、薬は山に埋もれ、問いの中の薬は腐り、流れるところによってその味をことにした。In like manner, Buddha nature is hidden away beneath the wild growth of worldly passions and can rarely be discovered. But Buddha found it and revealed it to the people, and as they receive it in their varying faculties, it tastes differently to each person. 仏性もこの例えのように深く煩悩の草むらに覆われているから人々はこれを容易に見つけることができない。今や仏はその草むらを開いて彼らに示した。仏性の味は一つの甘さであるが煩悩のためにさまざまな味を出し人々はさまざまな生き方をする。The diamond, the hardest of known substances, cannot be crushed. Sand and stones can be ground to powder, but diamonds remain unscathed. Buddha nature is like the diamond, and thus cannot be broken. Human nature, both its body and mind, will wear away, but the nature of Buddhahood cannot be destroyed. この仏性は金剛石のように硬いから破壊することはできない。砂や小石に穴を開けることはできても金剛石に穴を開けることはできない。 身と心は破られることがあっても仏性を破ることはできない。Buddha nature is indeed the most excellent characteristic of human nature. Buddha teaches that although in human nature there may be endless varieties such as men and women, there is no discrimination with regard to Buddha nature. Pure gold is procured by melting ore, removing all impure substances. If people would melt the ore of their minds and remove all the impurities of worldly passion and egoism, they would all recover the same pure Buddha nature. 仏性は実に最も優れた人間の特質である。世に男は勝り、女は劣るとする習わしもあるが、仏の教えにおいては男女の差別を立てず、ただこの仏性を知ることを尊いとする。黄金の荒金を溶かしてそのカスを取り去り、練り上げると尊い黄金になる。心の荒金を溶かして煩悩のカスを取り去ると、どんな人でも皆すべて同一の仏性を開き表すことができる。